some of the unfortunate pronouncements we had from the National Assembly yesterday regarding the decision by this House to award 415 million shillings to county governments. Honorable Speaker, I think there are things that we as a House have to make very clear. Number one, when we ask for more resources to be devolved to county governments, it's not to take away from the CDF or the National Affirmative Action Fund in the National Assembly. I think what some honorable members in the National Assembly were trying to do is to poison the mind of Kenyans that in fact we are going to raise those funds in order to raise the 24 billion extra that this House passed for county governments. Number two, Honorable Speaker, I want the National Assembly also to address itself to the question of whether there is corruption, mismanagement and misuse of resources in the national government. So that when they stand up and castigate county governments and say, oh, all these people travel with their girlfriends, it's not as if officers in the national government do not have girlfriends that they travel with. Mr. Speaker, if we are going to have a conversation, I think that conversation has to be an objective conversation. Mr. Speaker, finally, there has to be also a time that in this country, we demonstrate to each individual county how the money that has been allocated to the national government is spread across the 47 counties. Because there is inordinate focus, Mr. Speaker, on the money that is sent to counties from this particular House, and it represents less than 10% of the budget. Mr. Speaker, every time you ask, why are roads not being built in Nairobi? Mr. Speaker, in Nairobi alone, we have 50 stalled road projects. When you ask, you say, oh, but Nairobi received 20 billion shillings. Mr. Speaker, an analysis was done of the distribution of resources at the national level from the Kenya Rural Roads Authority and from Kenya. This was an analysis of the constituencies' allocation from Kera and Kura in Kiambu County. And we will not be surprised that the person who was castigating Senate yesterday, the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, the Member of Parliament for Kikuyu, Mr. Speaker, out of the money that is allocated, 350 million shillings allocated to Kiambu County and Akura, 220 million shillings has somehow found its way to Kikuyu constituency from where this Member of Parliament comes from. Mr. Speaker, 94% of the money under Kera is utilized in Kikuyu constituency alone, 1.45 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker. And if you ask Honorable Ichung'wah to add money to the counties, Nairobi alone, Mr. Speaker, the bill for electricity that is owed to Kenya Power is 1.5 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker. So that the money that Ichung'wah receives is enough Senator to pay our electricity bills here.
Senator Gloria, what is your point of order?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am aware we are discussing county issues, but Mr. Speaker, we still have to be guided by our standing orders. And they are very clear about discussing any other member of, a member of parliament, either from the Senate, Mr. Speaker, or from here. And imputing improper motive, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, and I understand, Mr. Speaker,
order,
allow me.
Honorable, order, Senator Faki, order.
Mr.
Proceed. Speaker,
protect me. I'm just saying, I understand that we are trying to highlight on the issues of devolution, Mr. Speaker. But can the Honorable Senator of Nairobi try and make his point without discussing another member of parliament who is actually not in the House, Mr. Speaker? That is my point of order.
Senator Gloria, which standing order has been violated?
Mr. Speaker, on, I think it's 98, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, just allow me, because I know that this is how we are used to sitting me down. There is even content 101, Mr. Speaker, contents of speech. If you go to 101.3, it shall be out of order to use offensive or insulting language, whether in respect of the senators or other. No senator shall impute improper motive to any other senator or to a member of National Assembly, except upon a specific and substantive motion, of which at least 3 days notice has to be given, calling in question the conduct of that senator or member of parliament. Mr. Speaker, if we want to discuss about the Honorable Member of Parliament, Kimani Ichung'wah, Mr. Speaker, Sifuna should just bring a substantive motion and we can discuss his budget of his constituency and whether he's using his money or not. Mr. Speaker, Kimani Ichung'wah is not in the House today, so let Sifuna limit his elaborations and discussions to devolution and whatever is. We're leaving out Kimani Ichung'wah from this situation. Thank you.
Order, honorable senators. The Senator for Nairobi. As you make your intervention, kindly adhere to that standing order. Do not impute any improper motive on either your honorable colleague senators or a member of parliament. So kindly proceed as advised.
I am well guided, Honorable Speaker, but I was thinking that colleagues in this House would be more defensive of the decisions of this House because yesterday the entire Senate was being discussed, Honorable Speaker. And in fact, Mr. Speaker.
Order, Honorable Senator.
Mr. Speaker, this is an extract of an analysis of the road allocations by those two national government entities in Kiambu County as a demonstration.
Senator Gloria.
Mr. Speaker, you must protect me from people who think that by rising on points of order against me, I'm going to make them famous. Because I see them sharing on social media that Sifuna and so are in an exchange. You will have to find your own fame by the quality of debate you bring to this floor. Mr. Speaker, let me conclude. Let me conclude by saying, this,
Proceed
Mr. Speaker,
to conclude.
That the discussion about allocation of resources, about the needs of the county governments and the challenges to devolution have to be had in a sober space and with context, Mr. Speaker, because as I was explaining to you before the point of order, 1.4 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker, is the amount of money that we require as Nairobi to pay off all our debts at Kenya Power so that all these members who come to Nairobi can continue to enjoy those services that the city provides. So when people come here and castigate decisions of this Senate, Mr. Speaker, and attack devolution on the basis of malpractices here and there, yet those similar malpractices are actually present even in the national government. And I will be hoping, Speaker, as I conclude, that when this House puts together its mediation team, they will send serious senators to the mediation team who will not go there to try and defend Kimani Ichung'wah. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order, honorable senators. Before I ask the clerk to call the next order, I have this message to pass. Honorable senators, I wish to report to the Senate that I have, pursuant to Standing Order 46.3, received the following message from the Speaker of the National Assembly regarding the decision of the National Assembly on the Senate amendments to the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bills number 14 of 2024. The message dated Tuesday, 14th of May 2024, was received in the office of the Clerk of the Senate on the same date. Now, pursuant to Standing Order 46.4, I now report the message. Pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 41.1 and 148B of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby convey the following message from the National Assembly. Whereas on Wednesday, 20th of March 2024, the National Assembly passed the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bill number 14 of 2024, and thereafter referred the bill to the Senate for consideration in accordance with Article 110(4) of the Constitution. And whereas on Thursday, the 2nd of May 2024, the Senate considered and passed the said bill with amendments and referred it back to the National Assembly for concurrence. Further, whereas on Monday, 13th May of 2024, the National Assembly considered and rejected the Senate amendments to the bill, thereby committing it to a mediation committee in accordance with the provisions of Article 112(2) of the Constitution.